You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. In California, there's a new initiative that's being developed to keep police departments accountable and also track misconduct. It's named after the late Congressman John Lewis. It's the Lewis Registry will be the first national database of police officers who have been terminated or resigned due to wrongdoing. Joining us right now, Dr. Erroll Southers, Director for Safe Communities Institute for the University of Southern California, where the database is being created. Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Roland. How are you? Thank you.
So this is, I mean, first of its kind, and this is the thing that a lot of people have been complaining about, have been asking for. For instance, the cop who killed Tamir Rice. And we see this all over again. That was a brother who was a police officer in Milwaukee who resigned from the city. Actually, he had 4 or 5 fatal shootings. He gets hired by the sheriff's department. We see this all the time where an officer just simply goes to the next city or the next county. They're back home with a badge and a gun.
Exactly, Roland. It's called bouncing. And officers do it all across the country. As a matter of fact, California is one of 5 states, along with Hawaii, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, where you keep your certification if you get fired and you can go to another agency and be hired and not have to go through the academy.
And so with this registry, is the requirement for every law enforcement agency in California to input the information? How is it going to be tracked? Just explain to us how it's going to be developed and monitored.
Well, we're not there yet in terms of all 50 states being on board. So this is going to be a grassroots movement. What we are doing is collecting open source, publicly made available information from media on officers that have been fired or resigned for misconduct. So we're populating this database with open source information. We have over 200 officers in the database already. We've only looked at 2/3 of the states across the country. What we're hoping for after this is that the public will be able to look at these names, know who's working in their agencies in their cities, because I think all police rosters should be transparent and open unless the officers are working undercover. And they should be asking their mayors and their chiefs if there's a name match for an officer that's been fired someplace else, why did we hire him? And then on the law enforcement side, there'll be a law enforcement only side where we'll collect additional data. We'll be able to look at some predictive analytics to determine why these officers get in trouble. Perhaps we can influence police department policy with regards to how long officers stay in certain details on a certain watch or other things that can keep them or reduce their risk of their problems coming up later on.
Questions for my panel for you. I'll first start with Scott Bowden. Scott, your question for Dr. Southers.
Hey, Dr. Southers, thank you so much for your leadership on this issue. My question is whether the government, the federal government or the state government, they have these statistics already, true or false. And secondly, if they don't, then you're pulling stuff from public information. How can we help you with this ground swell of support? Because this issue has been subject of federal and some state legislation, and its time has come.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your offer. So what you've described is what we want. For example, in California, we have 509 police departments. We would love to be able to collect from Sacramento, from all 509 agencies, and have one point of contact, one point of entry for each state. We've also set up a subscription rate for those police departments, so there is no excuse to not be part of the registry or a subscriber. So we're hoping that states like New York, who also have legislation right now, where if you're fired in New York, they don't want you to be rehired. The problem is there's no national database for New York to know if the officer got fired in Rhode Island. We'll be that database so they can look at it nationally. We will save agencies thousands of dollars and background investigators tens of hours unnecessarily going out to find out that someone is unqualified to serve at the agency because they've been fired before. So we need the legislative help, and thank you.
Thank you.
Monique, your question for Dr. Southers?
Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I think my question is similar to Scott's. I'm just wondering what people on the ground can do. We recognize the importance of this. I don't know if you got to hear when we were talking about a similar subject regarding the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and the fact that a national database, a national registry for bad actors for police officers will be included. What can just a citizen at large who's listening to you and wants to make a show of support do to help?
Thank you so much. Well, the first thing they can do is when they find an officer who's been fired, let us know about it. Yesterday when we launched, we had several people reach out by email from all over the country saying, you know about these officers, send us a link to the publication. We can track it down. The other thing you can do is go to our website, sci.usc.edu. Look at the Lewis Registry. We have a whole collection of things that you can do to contribute. We've got an incredible list of supporters from Governor Schwarzenegger, Karen Bass, to Frank Serpico. So we've got a lot of support. And this, again, is a grassroots movement. So we want people in America to hold law enforcement agencies accountable. When they've got officers or publications, a news clip they see of identified officers, send them to us.
Robert Patillo, your question for Dr. Southers, please. Robert?
Yes, can you hear me, Roland?
Now we can hear you. Go with your question, please.
Yeah, what has been the response from law enforcement to this initiative? What we've seen in Georgia is law enforcement have been very recalcitrant to even the most menial attempts at police reform or to holding them accountable. What's been their response, and what can individuals who are attempting to assist in this do when confronted by hostile police unions or police organizations?
We've reached across the country to chiefs that I know personally. I've been, in the interest of full disclosure, I was sworn 40 years ago. I've served in 3 agencies, including the FBI. So I've talked to chiefs across the country. We have their support. They do not want officers that have been fired working for them. In fact, one of our persons that's on the top of our supporters list is Art Acevedo, who's chief of the Miami Police Department and president of the Major Cities Chiefs Association. We anticipate pushback from unions. We are not dealing with qualified immunity. That's not an excuse. We are not dealing with decertification. We want officers that have been fired or resigned due to misconduct. There's nothing about taking away their due process. And if an officer is reinstated, and by the way, 23% of officers that are fired are reinstated with back pay, we will take them out of the registry. Sort of like being on the TSA no-fly list, except we'll be a little faster. We'll take them out of the registry because they shouldn't be there. This is not in any way neutralizing someone's due process. There's no reason for unions to push back against this.
All right, Dr. Southers, we certainly appreciate it. If folks want to assist you with this, petitioning their legislators, what information, where should they go to get more information about this database, this registry?
SCI, Safe Communities, to sci.usc.edu. There's a Lewis Registry tab there. All the information they need is there. They can contact us. We welcome it. Thank you for your support. Again, this is a community effort. We're only going to get accountability if we demand it. And we will have agencies now that will be more transparent and will be more accountable and will build community trust. And thank you for your support.
All right, Dr. Erroll Southers, Director of the Safe Communities Institute from the University of Southern California. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Racial injustice is a scourge on this nation, and the Black community has felt it for generations. We have an obligation to do something about it. Whether it's canceling student debt, increasing the minimum wage, or investing in Black-owned businesses, the Black community deserves so much better. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress to do something about it.